And just 16% say your party has strong leaders. It's pretty rough, and you are one of those leaders. How do you turn that around?
Yeah, we don't have the presidency right now.
I'll defend the Democrats. They are for things. Illegal aliens. You're for boys and girls sports. I mean, you are for things. And that's why you have such struggles right now in your party, because you're not for anything that's on the right side of any of the 80-20 issues that are driving this cultural divide in America. I think Wes Moore's actually a pretty talented communicator. The other person who spoke in South Carolina, Tim Walz, is this special mixture of extreme buffoonery and a mean spirit, which is a toxic brew. He is not the future of the Democratic Party. Moore is interesting. Probably more interesting than some of the radicals you have out there, Crockett, AOC. I mean, those are the true leaders of your party right now, but it'd probably be better off replacing them with...
That's not true, and I'm not going to even let you...
That's not true, and here's the thing. We're not...
So on today's episode of Just How Screwed is the Democrat Party, the answer continues to be extremely screwed, because if they were somehow hoping that all of the stupid protesting and performative antics they've done over the past couple of months would somehow lift their sinking approval rating out of the garbage or significantly damage Donald Trump in a way that would favor them for the 2026 midterms, they are starting to get the devastating news that actually that is not the case. As it turns out, their strategies are not working. And if you thought anything would be different, no, it turns out that Democrat leadership, specifically today talking about Chuck Schumer, Hakeem Jeffries, the sort of agents in charge of trying to steer Democrats to what they hope is a successful 2026 midterms, well, they, ladies and gentlemen, are just completely clueless, and it would seem that the new warriors and fighters, the 2028 candidates, are not doing much better, because today, ladies and gentlemen, we got to talk about this devastating poll that was reported on by CNN today. You know, forget direct approval rating, right? Are you Republican, Democrat, like Trump, not Trump? Specifically on the core issues that matter to Americans, just how underwater the Democrats continue to be, and how nobody in the party seems to have an answer for it, because they literally, as Scott Jennings there said in the beginning clip, do not know how to get off of these 80-20 issues where they continue to be on the wrong side. And I would argue in some ways, you could say the Trump administration is very effective at baiting them repeatedly, because even after a couple months of saying, okay, maybe we should drop men and women's sports, what are they now doing? Fighting Trump on men and women's sports simply because of Trump derangement syndrome. Nothing has changed, right? Even I've said repeatedly, this immigration issue, I said to Democrats, this is not a smart thing for you to try to make your grandstanding and political capital on, because poll after poll continues to show the American people support Republicans and Trump way more on immigration than you do. They didn't listen. What are the polls showing here today? Same exact thing. So we're going to tell you all about that in today's video. First though, folks, do us a big favor. If you enjoy the content, make sure you hit that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. You subscribing is the best way to support our work and ensure that we can keep doing these videos. And with that said, let us first of all show you what is being talked about. Big poll out today by CNN, so take a listen for yourself. Not just, again, Republican versus Democrat, but how the American people feel about specific issues. Perhaps this is honestly more telling than the headlines. Take a listen.
And this morning, we have a brand new CNN poll that shows what voters are thinking about both parties. David Chalian joins me here at the Magic Wall to take us through this poll. So, David, what are the key takeaways?
Yeah. This is where we left off on election night 2024, but we wanted to get a sense of where Americans are right now. And one key trend we're looking at here, Manu, is should the government do more, or is the government trying to do too much? 58% in our new poll of Americans now say the government should do more. That is a 30-year high that we have seen. So what's driving that? Why are so many fewer Americans saying that the government is trying to do too much? Well, as you might imagine, we're seeing that movement among Republicans who are in charge of all aspects of government right now. Look at this huge drop. From August of 23, 73% of Republicans said the government was doing too much. That was when Joe Biden was president. Now it's down to 57%. But we also see this decrease in those saying government's doing too much among independents as well. We also wanted to test where the country stood.
So I just want that first part to be interpreted correctly here. What is being said by that is Republican voters want Congress and the Trump administration to be more aggressive on our own agenda. Okay, so we want more Doge cuts, we want more deportations, et cetera, et cetera. That's what we mean. Okay, so just before that starts to get twisted or spun, that's actually a big movement from Republicans showing, here's the thing though, right? Showing that the issue with potential Republican dissent is not that Trump is pushing too hard, right? It's not about this whole thing of like, oh, Trump supporters are regretting their votes. Yeah, I voted for deportations, but not these many deportations. No, what does that say? That says, no, we want more deportations. Understand, we're saying government now is not doing enough. Why? We want them to be more aggressive. So that already is bad news. But now, for Democrats, I should say, but now take a listen to what the polls say about the Democrats themselves.
With the parties on various issues, okay? Crime and policing is by far and away the Republicans' best advantage. R plus 13 now, R plus 14 a couple years ago. But look at the economy and immigration, two key Trump issues. You see, it's still a Republican advantage, but you see that advantage is narrowing on both of those key issues. This gets to what Amy was saying, I think, about some of the anxiety people have about the economy over the tariffs that we were talking about. A dead tie on world affairs.
I would also like to say, I think this large, you're comparing November 2023 to now. I think this actually shows the, frankly, resilience of Trump and Republicans on these issues, because despite tariffs, despite, prices maybe taking a couple months to come down, etc., still only a 3-point drop. That's factoring in, right, like the incumbent disadvantage, you could say, where people will blame whatever issue on the incumbent. So that's still factored in. You're factoring in response bias, where supposedly Democrats are so energized and fired up to fight Trump in polling and stuff, right? Republicans are lower propensity voters, less likely to answer a poll, especially on an off year. All of that factored in. Again, he's the president now. He's easier to criticize, whatever. R plus 10 on the economy in 2023 at Joe Biden's low. Now, the only drop off is R plus 7, still a huge majority. That shows what? Democrats are still massively distrusted on the economy. That's what it shows. Immigration even, right? You're talking about all these recent attacks from Chris Van Hall and Kilmar Garcia, all of that. Guess what they're still finding, right? It was Trump's strongest issue before. It still remains one of the strongest issues. So that's my point here, is that despite all that the Democrats were trying to do, okay, and they've done a lot, everything has been nonstop blasted propaganda about immigration. What does it still show, this poll? Still, 2 years later, Democrats are still underwater on these two issues, economy and immigration. That's why I say, objectively, really bad news here for Democrats. And looking, by the way, at those bottom two issues, this seems to suggest, as I said, a bit of a response bias, right? This is technically probably a little bit more of a Democrat-heavy sample, because in an off year, again, Republicans less likely to pick up the phone, all that stuff. And even still, Republicans are destroying them on crime, economy, immigration. Look at what the Democrats enjoy an advantage on, right? Education, abortion, climate change. Okay, let's take a wild guess. When it comes to key kitchen table issues that people are driven to the polls by, especially nowadays, what would you rather be favored on, right? Climate change or immigration, economy, and crime? Just saying. Keep listening, though.
And where the Democrats have the edge, education, abortion, and climate change. We also took a look at some key attributes. This is how Americans sort of see the parties. Which party is better described as the party with strong leaders? Look at this.
Wow.
16% of Americans say Democrats, 40% say that of the Republican Party. Now, overall, no party's doing great. Lots of Americans say neither of these qualities apply to either party. But look at how much worse off the Democrats are. A party that gets things done. Only 19% of Americans say that about the Democrats. 36% say it about the Republicans. In fact, the only place that the Democrats are numerically ahead, party of the middle class, this is basically a tie, though. Yeah. 34% say that of Democrats, 32% say that of Republicans. But this, I think, is the most fascinating. How do partisans talk about their own party? Right? So among Democrats and Democratic leaners, 32% say Democrats are the party with strong leaders. I mean, of their own kind, right? 82% of Republican leaders say that about the GOP. Only 41% of Democrats say they're the party that gets things done of their own kind. And I will just say, 51%, Manu, a majority of Democratic and Democratic leaners say neither party gets the party that gets things done attribute. Imagine that's the project that Democrats are working on.
Yeah, and beyond the issues here, there's some structural problems with the Democrats as well.
There are. And again, this is where we ended up on election night in 2024. This is by county. Obviously, these were the results. But what I want to show you on this next map is we have this amazing opportunity. Donald Trump, a candidate 3 times in a row, to look at those 3 successive elections and take a look here among the shifts that we saw across the country. Everywhere you see red here is a place that Donald Trump improved his performance from 16 to 20 to 24. Now, he lost some of these counties. He didn't win all of them. But you see how much more red there is than blue. Places where, Clinton did better than Obama, Biden did better than Clinton, and Harris improved on that. Far fewer places in America than when Donald Trump increased his vote share over those 3 successive presidential elections, Manu.
Yeah, there's a lot to chew on there, David Chalian.
Yeah, well, I think 2 big key takeaways here. Democrats should look at that map. Among other things, you could talk about Biden, their incompetence, but also recognize perhaps the cultural moment here, which is that the American people in their thinking are swinging to the right, which is to say what? Maybe men and women's sports, you should just drop that. Maybe immigration, you should acknowledge actually people are fed up with this. They didn't like what Biden did. And instead of trying to defend, dying on the hill of MS-13 gang members and foreign terrorists and all these people, as is the case actually as of basically today, maybe you should pick different hills to fight. I don't know, right? That's number 1. Number 2, though, right? Very interesting systemic issue here. As you can see, Democrat voters are absolutely pissed off and fed up with their own party. And this is the civil war that we have been constantly covering. Now, if you're a Democrat, you're probably saying, okay, look, that doesn't really necessarily matter because, looking to 2026, yeah, we might be unpopular. Yeah, we might have all these structural issues, but Trump derangement syndrome, right? We're going to win the midterms because people are mad at Donald Trump, which of course I think is a big gamble in itself because poll after poll is showing, well, depends what the issues actually are. Like, yeah, you could say the election is a referendum on Trump, but if Trump is more popular than the alternative, then maybe it doesn't go the way you're expecting. But okay, fine. Let's just assume the theory that Trump derangement and off-year energy, whatever, leads Democrats to the 2026 midterms. They win the House or whatever. Okay, fine. Fair enough. What do you do about 2028? Because number 1, it's a presidential year now. People are really paying attention. You probably need an actual message and a vision, not just Donald Trump, number 1. But also number 2, we presume most likely 99% chance, right? Donald Trump will not be on the ballot. You will not be running against Donald Trump anymore. So what does a Democrat Party do there? Looking at that map of the country, looking now at how people feel, and observing the fact that there seems to be no change systemically in where the party is headed, the Democrat Party is headed for long-term doom. I say this even if they have a good midterm year. Even if. Because what do you do after that? What do you do when Trump is gone? When you have nothing to stand on as a party, and you still basically are sticking to your guns of, the Democrats stand for nothing other than we're against Trump. See where that gets you in a couple years, Even see where it gets you now. I'd argue in 2025, Trump derangement syndrome has tired people out. Heck, even the energy behind the resistance of the first few months of the Trump presidency largely has fizzled out. Okay, you see Trump's approval rating, for instance, in Rasmussen, took a little initial dip because, hey, people panic, tariffs, stuff isn't working, media attacks. You just be a little resilient. It's now up to its highest level in 3 months, right? So that's where you're at. But anyways, with all of that in mind, today, House Minority Leader, what a character he is, Hakeem Jeffries, was brought on by Dana Bash and CNN and confronted on the leadership crisis within the Democrat Party. And, this is his chance to audition and basically say, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm fine. Trust the Democrats. And a newsflash, he absolutely bombs from start to finish. We'll show you that here in a second. But, big theme here mainly is Democrats' message is like, look, there's nothing we can do. We do nothing. But Donald Trump bad. But actually just see for yourself exactly what I'm talking about.
Here with me now is the House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries. Thank you so much for being here this morning, sir. I want to start with that bill. You have vowed to keep the pressure on and stop it from becoming law. Obviously, you're in the minority. Same goes with Democrats in the Senate. How will you do that?
Trump's one big ugly bill narrowly escaped the House of Representatives, and we're going to continue to press our case across the country, partner with Senate Democrats in making clear to the American people the type of damage that this bill would do if it ever became law. This bill actually hurts everyday Americans in order to reward billionaires. It would strip away health care from approximately 14 million Americans. Premiums, co-pays, and deductibles for tens of millions more will go up. Actually, if it ever were to be implemented into law, hospitals will close, nursing homes will shut down, and people will literally die. At the same time, this bill...
There's no proof of this whatsoever, but that aside, okay. The question was, what are you going to do to resist the bill? So the answer there is nothing, right? You know, that's why your people look at you and say weak leadership. He literally says, "Whoa, what are you going to do? You're going to write him a strongly worded letter? Is that it? Strongly worded letter? You're going to do another 12-hour protest with Cory Booker on the Capitol steps on a Sunday when no one is there and 5 people show up? Is that what you're going to do, Hakeem? Right?" You know, and you even sort of just notice, it's kind of hard to put a finger on, but clearly even Democrat voters see it as well. This sort of like just weak, defenseless, almost cucked position Democrats are in with all of their messaging. It's like, look, we just need a message to the American people, the healthcare, they're so bad. You know, it's just, they're in this position where they're just weak. It's just lame. Everything they do is lame, you know? I don't know, but let's continue.
Bill represents the largest cut to nutritional assistance in American history. It takes food out of the mouths of children, seniors, and veterans, and all of this is being done in order to enact massive tax breaks for their billionaire donors like Elon Musk, and then they want to stick the American people with the bill, increase the debt by more than $5 trillion. So yeah. I expect that you'll see strong Democratic opposition in the Senate, just like there was strong Democratic opposition in the House, and the bill just narrowly escaped the House of Representatives.
What do you mean strong Democratic opposition? Again, you're going to give a speech? Are you're going to make a protest? Oh, wow, Hakeem, you know? Isn't he just such a dynamic messenger, by the way? Aren't you just listening to him talk? So they're going to cut healthcare. Everyone should know this. We're so inspired, okay? Barack Obama 2.0 right here. The hope and change, truly. So you know, I'll tell you a funny story. I had someone who I know who does not closely follow like American politics. And they asked me, this is the leader of the Democrat Party? How? I said, yes, that's correct. So yeah, regular people see it as well. It truly, what a all right, let's keep playing this.
You made these arguments before it passed the House. Democrats are going to make that argument in the Senate. But again, you don't have the votes. So what makes you think that what you're saying will prevail and change the outcome?
The bill is deeply unpopular. If you go back to where we were in 2017, where Republicans, after several failed attempts, finally got their effort to repeal the Affordable Care Act out of the House of Representatives, but it limped out of the House and then failed in the Senate. I think the one big ugly bill is setting up for a similar fate, but we can't let our foot off the gas pedal.
Yeah, so again, the real Democratic message is there's nothing we can do. Fantastic. And coming from him, by the way, just so inspiring. Now, with that said, take a listen here as Dana Bash confronts Hakeem Jeffries on the very poll we showed you earlier, and it is truly a sight to behold. Check it out for yourself.
Leader, you brought up polls, so let me tell you about a new one that just came out here at CNN this morning. It shows that only 19% of Americans say that your party can get things done. 36 say the same about Republicans. And just 16% say your party has strong leaders. It's pretty rough, and you are one of those leaders. How do you turn that around?
Yeah, we don't have the presidency right now, so that's always going to be challenging a few months after a presidential election. But we have to continue to make the case, one, that Democrats, of course, are the party that is determined to make life more affordable for everyday Americans, for hardworking American taxpayers, that we believe that we need to lower the high cost of living, which for decades has been going up while the size of the middle class has been going down. So understandably, there's real frustration amongst the American people. They should be frustrated.
But they're
Housing
frustrated
costs are
with
too
you
high.
as well,
Child
with
care costs-
Democrats as well.
Of course, they're frustrated with the system. But what is interesting, Dana, I think you're aware of this, every single public poll that has come out since the Trump presidency has had congressional Democrats winning the generic ballot against congressional Republicans. And in fact, we know this is not simply speculative. In every single high-profile special election, Iowa in January, New York in February, Pennsylvania in March, the Wisconsin State Supreme Court race in April, and most recently in Omaha, the mayor's race in May, Democrats have won. So the American people are actually being very clear and decisive in saying who they trust more to govern.
We're going to have to leave it there. Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the House Democrats, appreciate you being here this morning.
Thank you.
I mean, just listen to him talk. Isn't he just so inspiring? You know, don't you? That's a leader. Don't you listen and think to yourself, man, I just want to run through a brick wall for Hakeem Jeffries talking about childcare for the millionth time. Oh, wow. Here we go, guys. Oh, brilliant. Okay. So I would also like to point out, by the way, just as a factual statement, everything he said was wrong. Okay. There are plenty of polls that show Republicans beating Democrats in the 2026 generic ballot. Obviously, it is way too far out to tell, and there's a 50-50 split. Some show one way, some show the other way, but you can see just recently, this weekend, May 29th, we had a poll showing the Republicans up +4 in the generic ballot. So again, you know, it goes both ways, but to pretend like, oh, there's this unanimous consensus, Democrats are going to win the midterms. No, by the way, that arrogance is ridiculous from a party that has a 20% approval rating, but I digress. Even on the special election front. Okay, so you can cite those. We also have special elections in Connecticut, where Republicans won. Florida, Republicans won. Atlanta, Georgia recently, deep blue Atlanta, Georgia, we overperformed. Okay, so there are special elections that go both. So the whole thing goes both ways. You know, I just want to point that out. But, you know, I wouldn't exactly say, frankly, that polls in the spring to summer of an off year and random special elections are indicators of, frankly, anything. But if you want to go down that route, Hakeem Jeffries, I don't know if that looks good for you either. But nonetheless, okay, central conclusion, as we all know, there is a serious crisis of leadership in the Democrat Party, and most Democrat voters seem to agree. Characters like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are not exactly meeting the mold of a tough leader. You know, party's got to be tough, they say. Which, of course, brings us to the favorite hero of the Democrat base and a strong 2028 frontrunner, none other than good old Tampon Tim. Okay, Tampon Tim is here. And if you think that the new faces of the Democrat Party are any more awe-inspiring or really anything, okay, well, let's take a listen here as Tampon Tim at a recent event for the South Carolina Democrat Party tries to answer the call here and put on the tough guy act that the polls are demanding. And will you judge for yourself if this is exactly going to save the Democrat Party? Good old Tampon Tim. Take a listen.
Called out on this because I called Donald Trump a wannabe dictator. It's because he is. It's because he is. Oh. The governor's being mean, and the governor's speaking out on that. Well, maybe it's time for us to be a little meaner. Maybe it's time for us to be a little more fierce. Because we have to ferociously push back on this. And again, I'll speak to my teacher colleagues in here. The thing that bothers a teacher more than anything is to watch a bully, to watch this bully and to stop it. And when it's a child, you talk to them and you tell them why bullying's wrong. But when it's adult like Donald Trump, you bully the shit out of him back. You push back. You make sure they know it's not there.
What a tough guy. I'm shaking in my boots right now as a conservative listening to that. Oh my. Elmer Fudd. Elmer Fudd's, he's going to be tough. He's going to be ferocious against us, guys. Whoa, isn't everyone so scared? Guys, he even cussed, okay? He said the S word. This makes him tough. I will once again reiterate, I've been saying this since he was nominated as Kamala's VP, but I do not understand the Democrat obsession with this guy in any way, okay? He genuinely always comes off as off-putting and lame. And just, my fellow teachers will know, hey, did you know I'm a teacher? Oh, this is so amazing. I'm such a relatable Midwestern dad. No, you're not. Like, this guy has never been anything special, okay? But he'll say the most, like, random, Donald Trump is a bully. Yeah, I haven't heard that for, like, 20,000 years at this point. Oh, but Tim Walz said it. You're full of blank. Oh, he cussed. Oh, my gosh, he's so cool. Oh. Like, I genuinely don't get it, okay? I thought that the 2024 election sort of vindicated everything we said. Tampon Tim was not compelling. He failed to win over the Midwestern white guys and build a broad coalition Kamala was hoping for. He got embarrassed in the VP debate. But I have to say, Democrats, if you really think this is your future, please, I'm begging you, make this your nominee in 2026, of 2028, I should say. Of all of the potential candidates, this might be my favorite right here. Yeah, put this absolute Elmer Fudd buffoon in front of the country again. And let's see if things go any different, okay? But he's tough. The Democrats need toughness, don't you know? Yeah, this regular people will watch this and think, oh my, he's really tough, guys. Look at him. So scary. This is what Republicans fear, don't you know? All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Where do you think the Democrat Party goes from here? What do you think of the general leadership crisis that they're dealing with? I think it's pretty funny. Let me know. Be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe if you are new, and until next time, God bless and peace.